I'm Summer Morris, CPA, ex-corporate accounting girl and health coach turned CEO of a multi-six-figure business while helping others build financial security, healthier habits, and a better quality of life. It wasn't that long ago I lacked the confidence, the right plan, and time to focus on growing my small but mighty business, while also having time for healthy activities I wanted to pursue away from my desk. Fast forward past many failures and lessons learned, and you'll see the healthier business and lifestyle I have today. One that changes lives while giving me more freedom than I ever thought possible. I created the Fit to Endure podcast to share simple, actionable, step-by-step strategies to help you do the same. So if you're looking to feel better, live a healthier life without blowing your budget, start a side hustle, or train for your next race, this show will help you make an impact and achieve your goals without creating the overwhelm and burnout that makes you want to quit. You ready? Let's get started. Hey friends, welcome to episode 17 of the Fit to Endure podcast. I'm glad you're here. How are you? I'm doing pretty good. It's been a little over 3 weeks since my bicycle injury in the Escape from Alcatraz race, where I had a killer swim but got wiped out on the bike course by another rider, which resulted in a broken clavicle or fractured collarbone, one and the same, which required a plate and some screws in a surgery I had about 2 weeks ago. So about 3 weeks from the injury, 2 weeks from surgery, and 2 days from now, I'm super excited. I have my first physical therapy session over at Kaiser just to see how things are going, hopefully incorporate some more movement exercises, get that left side of the body moving a little more, having less pain, all those good things, and hoping I get the green light to return to teaching yoga in the public setting in 2 days. So hoping for that. If it doesn't happen, that's okay. I'll be patient. Day 3. Today is also day 3 of me in my 21-day bike trainer challenge for myself. So I have my bike back from Echelon Cyclery in Santa Rosa. Love those guys. They fixed up my sad little broken bike. So now it's ready to ride again for me, at least on the trainer, because I am in a sling. And that would be really spooky to be out there trying to ride a bike with one arm. Not for me. I'm sure there's many people that try it. Not for me. And so I have my bike on the trainer. It's on a kicker setup. So there's no actual wheels on the bike. There's where you would have the front wheel. It's attached to what's called the kicker climber. So the software I use can see the hills of the course that I'm virtually riding. And the kicker climber allows the front of the bike to raise up like I'm going up a hill and then go down as though I'm descending down a hill. And then on the back end of the bike where there's no wheel, it's attached to this big magnet that essentially creates more or less resistance based on where I am in the course. So for example, if I'm going up a hill, you can imagine there's going to be more resistance because you're trying to really push through all that momentum, all that gravity to go up the hill. And then things soften up as you start to descend down. So it's pretty fun. And so yeah, day 3 of the 21-day challenge. Why 21 days? Why day 3? Because today is day 3 of the Tour de France 2024. I've been steadily watching my favorite Jonas Vingegaard. He was the winner of 2023's Tour de France season. If you're unfamiliar with Tour de France, I highly recommend checking out the Unchained show on Netflix. Season 2 covers the backstory of the 2023 Tour de France, and also gives you a big story of Jonas Vingegaard and the other pro racers in the season. And you got to watch them through the various stages and days of the Tour de France, who's winning the climbs, what's happening with the sprints. It's so good. It's such a fun show. It's so interesting. So Jonas Vingegaard, the winner of the 2023 Tour de France, experienced a major accident in April 2024. Just 3 months before this current Tour de France started. 3 months. No joke. So in this accident, he ended up breaking his collarbone and ribs and damaging a lung. What? I know. So crazy. So crazy. I can't imagine being in an incredibly challenging race for 21 days straight, the Tour de France 2024, after undergoing a broken collarbone and some ribs and damaging a lung. Oh my gosh. So this massive crash happened during stage 4 of the Tour of the Basque Country, involving 2 race leaders. The crash happened at a high speed on the descent from a climb, which was about 36 kilometers or just a little over 22 miles before meeting the finish line. When one rider went down, causing a chain reaction, Vingegaard was still on the ground receiving medical treatment several minutes later. And after about 2 weeks in the hospital for all those surgeries, he was out training again, and now he's in there. Today, day 3. So wild. So, I know that's a lot about the races, all the other things, but what are we here to talk about? We're here to talk about budgeting, a critical tool that can make or break your financial health. And I mentioned last week about what a panic I found myself in with the health insurance and just imagining what it would be like if I didn't have health insurance and how that would blow my budget. What would it be like if you had a big thing happen? Whether it's your engine dies in your car, maybe you're in a car accident and you have that deductible to pay and a new vehicle to purchase. There's so many things that could really derail our budget. You can be a homeowner and experience a flood in your living room. Someone I know that had a 2-story house and their washer dryer was upstairs. They got the wash started. Then they left to go do their usual Sunday shopping, Sunday chores. And when they came back, they noticed their ceiling downstairs was covered with water. Why? Because there was malfunction with the washing machine up top, on the second floor, that caused a massive flood on their second floor, requiring that first floor entry and the living room downstairs, all the sheetrock, all that stuff had to come out and be repaired. Just massive water damage. And so those things that could just easily derail our budget when we're just on day to day. Yep, here's the money in, here's the money out. We're just breaking even, all of those things. So whether you're trying to pay off debt, save for a big purchase, or simply want better control over your money, creating a personal budget is the first step towards success. Now, I have a bonus handout to save you from writing many notes. I can have many words. So it also links the free online budgeting tool that I love. I use it personally and with my money coaching clients. You can find the bonus handout at summermorris.com/17. That's summermorris.com/ and the number 17. Let's first talk about what a personal budget is, okay? A personal budget is a financial plan that outlines your personal or household's expected income and expenses over a certain period, typically a month. I also, with my money coaching clients, will look at it for a year because there's some expenses that are maybe one-off, once a year or twice a year expenses. So personal budget helps you manage your money better by identifying and tracking earnings, spending, and savings. Now, earnings include all your sources of income: salary, bonuses, investments, rental income, any sources of income. And something I like to remind my money coaching clients of is when you're budgeting for your income, such as your paycheck, look at your net paycheck. So if you make some dollar amount, your annual salary, that's great. But when it comes to the budget, we want to look at the actual cash you're getting. Okay. So look at that net paycheck amount as the income amount. Okay. Spending, we're looking at all your expenses. We're going to categorize them in regular and expected expenses. These can include fixed expenses like your rent or your mortgage, utilities, insurance, loan payments, any subscriptions you might have, like that Netflix subscription if you're watching Unchained, or the Peacock subscription, like you're watching the Tour de France like I am, all those subscriptions. We're also going to look at our variable expenses, such as groceries, transportation, entertainment, dining out, and other discretionary spending. So fixed expenses are typically a fixed dollar amount. They're what it is. Now, sure, they can increase over time or decrease over time. Like if you have rent, the rent can likely increase each year, maybe 3% or 5%, whatever it is. But month over month, it's pretty much the same that we can budget for. Whereas those variable expenses like the groceries, let's say you have your favorite 30 things at the grocery store. Well, depending on what's on sale, what's not on sale, what's seasonal, what isn't, those prices can change. So those changing prices are considered variable expenses. A big variable expense, fuel, right? Fuel prices can be so bananas. Sometimes they're lower, sometimes they're higher, sometimes they're higher than you thought they would even get. So, just factoring those variable expenses. Then we have our irregular or occasional expenses, such as car repairs, medical bills. Hello. If you aren't familiar with the medical bills I was panicking about, check out episode 16. We also have our holiday shopping, whether you celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah or any of those special holidays during the year, holiday shopping and vacations. And for you parents and grandparents, I'm sure you have a lot of irregular occasional expenses with those birthdays, right? Then you also look at your savings and investments, allocating a part of your income or money coming in towards savings goals, emergency funds, retirement accounts, and investments. Your budget's also going to include debt repayments. And I'm going to go into a lot more detail on debt repayments next week, including going over Dave Ramsey's debt snowball method if you're not familiar with that. I'll just give you a clue. It's not about paying things off based on whatever has the highest interest rate first. What? You're not going to pay off the first thing that the highest interest rate? Not according to Dave Ramsey, and I'll explain why in episode 18. But your debt repayment plan is your blueprint for getting out of debt by having a structure for your debt payments, such as credit card payments, student loans, personal loans, ensuring timely and regular payments to avoid penalties and reduce acquiring more debt. Once your budget's in place and being actively monitored, yep, that's important too, we look at adjustments, adjusting the budget based on actual income and expenses to ensure it remains accurate and practical. Creating and adhering to a personal budget helps individuals prioritize their spending, avoid overspending, and achieve financial goals such as saving for a large purchase, reducing debt, or building a financial safety net, which is so important. I really find that having money set aside for various savings accounts, one that I love is the What If I Lose My Job Fund, where I just have $20 a week go into the What If I Lose My Job Fund. It creates a lot of added financial security and reducing stress for if something happens. Various tools and methods exist for creating a budget, including spreadsheets, budgeting apps, or just the old simple pen and paper tracking. In a few minutes, I'm going to share with you my favorite online tool that's free at the time of this recording. I've been using it for, I'm going to say maybe 3 or 4 years now. I was using mint.com many years ago. I found this and I love this so much more, and I'll explain why in a bit. But now that we know what a budget is, your income, expenses, debt, payment plan, and savings plan, let's talk about the 10 essential tips to help you start your first personal budget, okay? Don't worry, I'm going to get to that special app that I love in a bit. All right, let's dive in. Tip number 1, set clear financial goals. Knowing what you're working towards is crucial for motivation. Are you saving for a vacation, paying off student loans, or trying to build an emergency fund? Define your goals clearly, write them down, and keep them somewhere visible as a daily reminder of why you're budgeting. Tip number 2, know your income. Yes, and I mentioned earlier, know your income as far as the net income. So if you have a W-2 employee job, knowing what your net paycheck is. If you're a business owner, like a small business owner, not looking at your total sales, but what's your total take home after the costs related to that sale, after the overhead, what is actually yours at the end? Now, knowing your income might seem obvious, but get a clear picture of your monthly income after taxes and all those other things it took to generate that income. This is that job salary, that net paycheck, freelance work, side gigs, all of it. The key here is to give yourself a comprehensive overview of all the money you're bringing in. Tip number 3, track your spending. Before you set any limits, spend a month tracking every penny you spend. Now that online software tool I'm mentioning, it's going to do it for you. But what I also like to have folks do when they start tracking their spending is grab your statements. Yep, go grab 3 months. That's right, 3 months of your bank statements. Download them in PDF. If you have a printer, great, print them off. If you don't, then have them on the screen. I find the printer just makes it a little easier to go slow and methodical. Grab a copy of 3 months of your bank statements. Every credit card that you have a balance in, grab those. If you're like, I pay it off every month, still grab those, okay? So every bank statement, every credit card, and then let's look at those loans too. For example, you can think, oh, well, I have this regular loan, blah, blah, blah. My bookkeeper or someone else is paying all the payments. And just last week, I was working with one of my accounting clients doing some historical accounting. So doing several years of back accounting to get stuff cleaned up. And during the process, I said, okay, for these loans, I want you to go and grab those statements. And what he had the big aha moment of is that every month he was making this payment to this particular vendor that he had this vehicle loan with. But every month he was paying about $60 in bank fees for this special express process of having the payment applied overnight instead of their usual course of about 3 to 5 business days. So for whatever reason, the bookkeeper they were using, maybe she wasn't paying things on time or whatever their discussions were. But the way she was setting up the payments that he didn't realize was incurring a $60 bank fee every single month. That $60 that could have gone to the principal balance or that loan balance, but instead, poof, it was just going into the pocket of that financial institution. $60 a month. So what are you missing out on by not taking a look at those statements? Now, I'm not saying you have to do this every month. It sure is nice to do, even if you do it for 15 minutes a month. But at least for now, grab the 3 statements of all your bank statements, credit card statements, and those loan statements. How is the money being allocated? Where is money coming? Where is money going? When I'm using this with my personal money coaching clients and we grab those statements, I say, okay, upload those statements in PDF to my portal, and we're going to go through some things. And I'm going to ask questions, not judging, just asking, throwing out some curiosity. And what we usually find is that there's some subscriptions that they're like, oh, I forgot I still had that, but it was on auto payment. So it's just out of sight, out of mind, sucking money out of their bank account every single month, sometimes for many years. And they were like, I haven't used that in so long. I stopped learning Spanish 2 years ago, yet they're still charging me $22 a month. What? Right? So grab those statements. Okay, you got enough of that. So before we set any limits, let's take a look at where our spending is going now. So what app do I use and recommend? Well, my friend, I'm going to share it with you after this brief commercial break. Are you an entrepreneur working nonstop in survival mode, trying to figure out how to increase sales and make more money? Is your unpredictable cash flow stressing you out? Do you avoid looking at your bills or bank balances because you feel overwhelmed by your money situation? Are you unsure how much to pay yourself, so you avoid doing it all together and instead use your business bank accounts for personal purchases? Well, imagine instead if you can look at your bank account balance with greater confidence, pay yourself regularly every single month. What if you had a system in place, an easy system, for every dollar that came in? Some for you, some for expenses, and some set aside for the tax bill. Imagine if paying taxes was more of an inconvenience than a where am I going to find the money panic. And what if you had a proven method for eliminating debt? You can learn the simple steps to building your profit and cash flow roadmap in my group coaching program. It's called Steady Profits and Consistent Cash Flow. It's a 1-day live interactive workshop in Zoom with 2 separate 2-hour sessions for a total of 4 hours. It's recorded for later viewing, so if you're not able to attend live or just want to rewatch it, I like to say it's better than Netflix. You can learn more at summermorris.com/profits. That's summermorris.com/PROFITS. I'll see you inside. Welcome back. So the personal budgeting app I love and use is the Budget Planner by Empower. Now, the company used to be called Personal Capital. So if I slip up and say Personal Capital, just know I'm talking about the same thing, Empower's Budget Planner. It's so rad. I love this thing so much. And again, you'll find the link to Empower's Budget Planner in today's show notes at summermorris.com/17. Before I dive into why I think Empower's Budget Planner is so rad and blows mint.com out of the water, let's go through the rest of the 10 essential tips for your personal budget. Tip number 4, categorize your expenses. Break down your expenses into categories like housing, groceries, transportation, entertainment. Maybe you have kids expenses, pet expenses. You're currently going through college or some education program. Add that as well as your savings. By categorizing these expenses, you are able to better see which areas are consuming most of your income and where you might need some adjustments. Tip number 5, set up an emergency fund. Life is unpredictable. As I say this, wearing my sling. To avoid derailing your budget when unexpected expenses come up, aim to build an emergency fund that covers 3 to 6 months of living expenses. Now, pre-pandemic, it was pretty common to say 3 months expenses. After the pandemic, it's more like 6 because there was so much shuffle and change in employers, businesses closing or laying off a certain amount of staff. So, it's typically 3 to 6 months. I like to err to 6 months for those that have W-2 jobs or employee jobs. And for those that are self-employed, I use 6 months as a baseline. If you can go to 9 months or a year, fantastic. Highly, highly recommend. If you're like, that's so much money. Again, if you do $20 a week set aside, that's $1,000 at the end of the year. So you can slowly, incrementally increase your emergency fund over time. So it doesn't matter how little you can save. Can we start with $5? Can we start with $1? And you might find that as you start investing or setting aside money for yourself, investing in your emergency fund, that over time you're like, you know what? I could change that $1 to $3 to $5 to $8. And before you know, you're like $20 a week. I'm saving $50 a week as you cut out other expenses. Tip number 6, prioritize necessary over optional expenses. Separating your needs from your wants is a huge budget shift. First, budget for essentials like rent, utilities, food, and transportation. Once those are covered, budget for your non-essentials. This order will help you avoid financial stress and be able to cover those basics first. Now, one thing I like to do when it comes to budgeting necessary versus optional is I really love using online grocery apps, like whether it's the Amazon Whole Foods app or the Costco app. What I find helps me with using those grocery apps is it's easier for me to prioritize the needs. I'm literally in the kitchen going, okay, we need more of this. We need more of this. I could walk through the house. We need more laundry soap. We need more toilet paper, all those things. Without those distractions and temptations of those end caps or the displays they have, at the end of the aisles at the grocery store or those big warehouse stores where you're like, ooh, that looks neat and shiny. I want some of that. So just prioritizing the needs over the wants. And if you find that using apps like me, like the grocery apps help, great. If you're like, but wait, that one that I want to use says it's going to charge me $50 a year to use that app without the added fee each time I use them. For me, when I look at it, I break it down. I find that paying $50 to use that shopping app is such a big savings compared to any impulse spending you might have, as well as the time saved of doing that physical shopping. What could you be doing in your life if you're not doing that physical shopping? Maybe it's spending more time with family, friends, kids, your personal enjoyment activities, maybe your fitness, all those good things. So tip number 6 was prioritizing necessary over optional expenses. Tip number 7, use the 50-30-20 rule. A general budgeting framework suggests allocating 50% of your income to needs, 30% to wants, and 20% to savings and debt repayment. Now, this rule is a useful guideline for maintaining balanced spending and saving habits. But if you're like, wait, I just looked at all my things and my housing is way more than 50%. Or if I'm going to allocate 20% of my money toward debt, that's still not going to make a big difference in my debt. It's okay. We're just looking at this general framework. If it doesn't work verbatim for you, that's okay. But at least we have some sort of guideline. If you find that with your housing expenses, your rent, utilities, those basics, maybe it's 70%, at least we're in the know. Are there things there that we can do to reallocate? Or are we maybe in a house that's too big for us? Someone I know a couple of years ago said, we're moving from our house that was $500,000 to $1 million. And I went, oh my gosh, $1 million. And they're like, I know it's so much more than what we're paying right now, but it's going to force us to save. That was their thought. What they really meant is that it's going to force us to spend a lot less money going out and doing those fun things because we're going to have such a huge housing bill. So yes, over 50% of their income is definitely getting pushed to the housing. I personally don't recommend that. but how you spend your money is how you spend your money. So if you want to use the 50-30-20 rule, again, it's just allocating 50% of your income, that net income and all the other cash inflows you have. So that general budgeting framework suggests allocating 50% of your income to needs like the housing, 30% to the wants, and 20% towards savings and debt repayment. Tip number 8, automate savings and payments. Automate as much as you can to avoid late payments and ensure consistent savings. Setting up automatic transfers to your savings account and automate your bill payments. This reduces the risk of missing payments and can simplify your financial management. So one thing I like to recommend to my money coaching clients when we're looking at paying off their debt is go ahead and set up all your credit cards, all those loans with the minimum payment being automatically deducted. That way, at least you're covered by having the minimum payment deducted so you can avoid those late fees and anything that might tarnish your credit as far as those late payments that can reduce your credit score and force you to have higher interest rates. So setting up those automatics first for the minimum and then using your budget, go in and set up a second payment, just one-time payments to allocate more money toward paying off those debts based on that debt snowball that we're going to talk about next week. So once you have your automatic payment set up for all your existing debts, that minimum monthly payment, you can then use your budget to decide how you're going to throw a little more money toward your debt so that you can start getting out of debt. Tip number 9, review and adjust regularly. Your budget is not set in stone. It's not black and white. Life changes, and so will your financial circumstances. So set aside a regular time to review your budget. I like to do it the first of each month. Then you can analyze your spending and assess if you're meeting your financial goals and adjust as needed. So I like to do it the first of the month, so then I can use my 3 favorite questions. What worked last month? What didn't work? And what will I do differently in this coming month? So it gives you a chance to really start looking at all the things. You can look at those statements that are coming through. I just saw with Wells Fargo where I have a handful of accounts, the email of all these different statements are ready for all my different savings buckets I have. So I can look at those statements, say, okay, what's working for me? What's not working? Did I not meet some budget goal of spending only so much on the wants because maybe there was a want that I really wanted on sale and it made more sense to buy it now than next month because I can get 30% off right now? Whatever that is, what worked, what didn't work, and what will you do differently next month? Tip number 10, seek professional help if needed. If budgeting is overwhelming or your financial situation is complex, or you simply don't want to do it, you find money stuff is just way over your head, or you need an accountability partner to say, okay, let's sit down and do this. I know you want to do this. Let's get the ball rolling. Don't hesitate to seek advice from a financial coach like me or someone else you trust. There's even financial institutions that have a segment of their business specifically for financial coaching. So find something that works for you. Working together with me privately, for example, I can provide personalized guidance and help set you up with a budget that works for you. All right, got your 10 tips? Let's switch gears and discuss my favorite personal budgeting app, Empower's Budget Planner. Now, I can talk about this app all day long because I love it that much, but I'll try not to. Okay, here's a few reasons why I love Empower's Budget Planner app. And mind you, when you click on the link, I'm not getting a kickback or any commission on it. This is just something that I love so much. I share it with my coaching clients. I use it on the regular. And if you like it, shoot me an email. Let me know what you like about it at podcast@summermorris.com. If there's something you have a question about with it and you're like, oh, how do you do this? Shoot the message. I'm curious what your stumbling blocks are, what you're loving about it. It'll be fun to hear. So Empower's Budget Planner is highly recommended because first, it has a user-friendly interface that you can access via computer, tablet, or smartphone app. It features an intuitive design that makes it easy to navigate and use, even for individuals that do not consider themselves tech savvy. Now, my pro tip is I highly recommend setting up your account and connecting all your financial accounts using a computer instead of the smartphone app. Why? It just makes life a lot easier, especially when you go to connect your different bank, savings, checking, credit card loans, all those things. They're going to want to text you a security code to your phone. So if you're on your computer setting it up and you have that separate tool, your phone, for those texts, you'll find it's just a much smoother process. You can set it up on the smartphone app, but I highly recommend setting it up on the computer first, then downloading the app, putting in your user ID password, and going from there. The budget planner provides a high-level financial overview, so you can see a holistic view of your finances by various categories such as checking, savings, credit cards, loans, and investments, all in one place. It's so rad. I mean, once you connect all your different bank accounts, I have my different checking and savings, my retirement accounts in there, my home mortgage, credit card, all those fun things, you're immediately able to log in and see all of them in one place. So I don't need to log into Wells Fargo to see the checking or the mortgage company to see what the mortgage balance is. It's all there in one place. It's really rad. See all the different balances. You can see your net worth. With your home, you can both see the mortgage and what your fair market value is for the house on Zillow. So all those good things. So first we have the dashboard where you can see all the categories, the cash, investment, credit, loan, any other assets. Then you can see your net worth, essentially, which is your assets, what you own, minus your liabilities, what you owe for your net worth. How is that doing? Then you can also see your transactions. And this is where you can categorize the transactions. It's going to start to automatically categorize them. But as you use it, you might say, you know what? I know you think that this vendor is for this type of category, but it's actually for that. And so you're able to adjust it accordingly. But with your transactions, you can go to the transactions area, see all your transactions, or you can see the transactions related to your cash accounts, like your checking, savings accounts. You can click on transactions to see what transactions are in your credit card account. So, some clients I've worked with have as many as like 12 different credit cards. And so looking at 12 different credit card statements each month can feel very overwhelming, especially when you're trying to pay off all those debts and just get a rein on, what interest am I being charged? What bank fees are happening? All those things. From the Empower app, you can go to transactions and look at all the transactions specific to credit cards. You can also see the transaction related to your mortgage accounts, your loan accounts, and your investment accounts. And speaking of investments, what's really cool is that with the investments, they have a section called planning. And you can go down to what's called a fee analyzer, like retirement fee analyzer. And you can go there and look at all your different investment accounts you've connected. And it will show you how much you're paying in fees each year as a percentage. So really rad situation. But beyond the day-to-day transactions that you can see in your overview, you can see the dashboard with, okay, here's how much cash you have, here's how much investment you have. One thing that folks come to me very often for the money coaching is retirement. And the Empower app for retirement planning is golden. It's so rad. I like to think of retirement as in number, not in age. So retirement to me is a number, meaning when you have enough money set aside to stop working or go part-time, that is when you can retire. It's not saying, okay, I'm 50 right now and I'm going to retire at 65, even though I have no money set aside for retirement. That's not retirement. That just means you're getting older and you're going to go work somewhere else. So the retirement feature in the Empower budgeting app that I love so much, essentially it looks at all the accounts you already have set up, all those assets, all the money coming in. And then you tell it, okay, when I retire, these are the things that are going to happen. Maybe you have a pension with your current employer or a former employer. You're estimating you're going to get X amount of money from Social Security at this particular age. And there's different ways you can find out what that estimated number will be. So you're saying, okay, here's how much money I'm going to have coming in a retirement. Here's how much money I'm planning to have go out of retirement. And a big thing my money coaching clients discover is that they actually spend more money in retirement outside of mortgages or other things they might have paid off during their working life, but they actually end up spending more money in retirement. Why? Because they have more time to spend money. So I don't know about you, but if you work a Monday to Friday job, for example, you might notice that when it comes to the weekend, you're out shopping more, spending more, going out for entertainment more, maybe drinks or movies or golf or whatever it is. You might be spending more from Friday night to Sunday night because you have more time to do that than when you're sitting 9 to 5 at your desk. So similar to retirement, you might find that, oh, this is when I'm going to start traveling more or doing more of those things because I have more time to do so. So the retirement planner is so cool because you'll say, okay, this is the age that I plan to retire, and this is how much money is coming in. This is when I'm planning to go out. And it'll literally show you a graph that says, okay, based on what you put in, this is where you're going to run out of money. So you can do more what if forecasting. What if right now, between now and let's say I'm 49 and I'm going to retire at 67, that based on that, I'm going to have this much money that I'm planning to spend each year, from 67 on. There's going to be more for medical. There's going to be less for the mortgage because the mortgage will be paid off. And here's the money I'm anticipating having coming in at that time frame. It's going to show your peaks and valleys of what your financial plan looks like and when you might run out of money. And of course, we want the time we run out of money to be after the age that we're planning to live. So, for example, I just did a little adjustment. It says, okay, if you squeeze down this much, you're going to run out of money at age 99. And you're like, oh my gosh. I've worked with folks where they come into me and they're like, okay, I'm 55. I want to retire at 65. And it's like, we put it in and it's like, that's great. You're going to run out of money at 69. I'm like, what? Yes, because retirement isn't an age. It's a number. It's a financial number. When do you have enough money to actually say, I can leave this job or I can downgrade to a part-time job or some other experience and have enough money to survive? So important. Love that. Okay. I'll get off the soapbox of the retirement planner part because I just love that so much. What's also really cool about the Empower app is that you can have alerts and notifications sent to you for financial activities like bill due dates, unusual spending activities, account balance thresholds that you say, hey, send me a notification when this is happening, just to help you stay on top of your financial activities. There's integration with other tools. I won't go into that too much because I went over the retirement part so much. If you're like, you know what, I really like what you're talking about with the Empower app, let me know and I'll include more in the future episodes. But if you're like, oh, this is enough and I just don't get any information from you, I'll assume you've got enough on the app. There's also, of course, the mobile accessibility. Like I mentioned, you can look at it from your tablet, your smartphone, if you're away from your computer. I love that. I love, again, how I could see all my different accounts in one nice area, one tight dashboard. And with Empower, they have ongoing updates to ensure the tool stays current and relevant to your current financial trends and other users' needs. So these features collectively make Empower's budget planner my favorite powerful tool for managing personal finances effectively. Give it a try. If you like it, let me know. podcast@summermorris.com. And if you're like, you know what, I tried it, it sucks, there's something else I like, let me know what you're using. I'm really curious. Is there something even better than the Empower app that I'm missing out on because I'm just so googly about this one? So there you have it. Essential tips for starting your first personal budget using the Empower Budget Planner app. Whether you're planning to use the app or classic paper and pencil, persistence and flexibility are the keys to successful budgeting. And of course, it might take some time to get everything in order. It is a lot, and it's okay. But the peace of mind and financial control you'll gain are totally worth it. And you can use the Empower app to incrementally say, you know what, I'm going to add 2 or 3 accounts a day, not make it one big swoop, but just add 2 or 3 accounts a day, maybe after work, and just start building out the app so you can see all your good things. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Fit to Endure podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend, subscribe, and leave us a review of the podcast. It means a lot to me and my creation team. And I hope you join us next week for another episode full of tips to help you navigate your financial journey. And as always, if you have a question you'd like me to answer on the podcast, if there's a topic you'd like me to cover, shoot me that message over at podcast@summermorris.com. Until next time, happy budgeting, take care, and namaste. Are you an entrepreneur working nonstop in survival mode, trying to figure out how to increase sales and make more money? Is your unpredictable cash flow stressing you out? Do you avoid looking at your bills or bank balances because you feel overwhelmed by your money situation? Are you unsure how much to pay yourself so you avoid doing it all together and instead use your business bank accounts for personal purchases? Well, imagine instead if you can look at your bank account balance with greater confidence. Pay yourself regularly every single month. What if you had a system in place, an easy system, for every dollar that came in? Some for you, some for expenses, and some set aside for the tax bill. Imagine if paying taxes was more of an inconvenience than a where am I going to find the money panic. And what if you had a proven method for eliminating debt? You can learn the simple steps to building your profit and cash flow roadmap in my group coaching program. It's called Steady Profits and Consistent Cash Flow. It's a one-day live interactive workshop in Zoom with 2 separate 2-hour sessions for a total of 4 hours. It's recorded for later viewing, so if you're not able to attend live or just want to rewatch it, I like to say it's better than Netflix. You can learn more at summermorris.com/profits. That's summermorris.com/PROFITS. I'll see you inside.